I want to talk today about this Brian Thompson killing the CEO of United Healthcare. By the way, the positioning of the picture behind me is not at all strategic. That uh, those prints, I bought those maybe like 10 years ago for like $5 from a Goodwill. That's how much inflation has gone up. You couldn't get something like that at the Goodwill these days for that price. And it has been positioned on that wall since my husband and I bought this house over 7 years ago. So I don't think that I'm not trying to do some cutesy little crown thing or something like that. It is merely a coincidence, and it looks nice back there, I think, personally. So I live in the Minneapolis area. Brian Thompson's from Maple Grove. I do a lot of my shopping over in Maple Grove. They have a very nice Costco with a Trader Joe's situated. I like that area. But I kind of just want to give my thoughts on the kind of energetic climate with humanity and some little kind of concerns that I have. There's different levels of experience. You have your direct experience and your day-to-day life and the people around you. And then you have the community experience, and how like there's different levels to that. And then there's like the American experience overall. And I think the climate of humanity at this time is uncertain, somewhat unstable. It's like a transition phase for humanity, and there's a lot going on. I did a video, maybe my last video, talking about how like there was that 4-year phase from 2020 to 2024, which was supposed to be kind of an acceleration, a karmic surfacing phase. And yeah, I know it's not just my own life. I think about, people that lost loved ones close to them in my family, all kinds of secrets coming to the surface in different areas, chaos, relationships getting really heavily shaken up. I mean, it's just been like, wow. And then the global situation, just wow. We've got, Syria now, all that coming up, the Israel, the Ukraine stuff, the Russia. It's a lot to handle. And so we are, I think, coming to this phase where humans, the directions are kind of changing. And as a whole, people are really mad at the elitist aspect of society. And while I sympathize and I even empathize with that sentiment, I do grocery delivery. I used to deliver over in like the Minnetonka area because my husband worked over there, so we rented. We were not one of the wealthy ones. We were in like a crappy apartment, but he worked in that area, and so we rented over there, and so I delivered groceries over in that area. At one point I worked at a retail store in that area, so I was not one of the wealthy or like the elite, not a member of that class, but I interacted a lot with members of that class. Maple Grove it's funny, Brian Thompson lived in Maple Grove. That's not like Minnetonka, Edina, that's known for being the ultra ritzy area. Maple Grove's a little more wealthy, conservative part of the city. But generally speaking, of course, it's a generalization. But what I found, being of the lower social class, working for the higher social class, is this energy of overall, most of those people think that they're better. And I don't even think it's conscious for a lot of those people. I think that it's just in that class, you're so used to everything just being easy and handed to you. I'm not saying that those people don't have struggles, because we all have struggles. We all come into this life and we all have struggles. But materially, you know, having all of that just come really easily, and the people around them, their peers, operating in that way, that energy of entitlement, it's absolutely a thing among that higher wealthy class to feel like they're better. And like I said, I think that if you pointed that out, and a lot of those people, they would say, no, that's not true, when to everyone else who's not a part of that class, it's clear as day. And so we have a large percentage of people who are really pissed off at the elite class. Friends, even though I think that Donald Trump is going to be the best option for bringing the truth out, pulling the root systems out of this system, he is a part of that class, so do not forget it. Same with Elon Musk. They're probably the better option when it comes to bringing the truth of what these structures have been, but still, don't forget, they are a part of that class. They probably operate in a way where they unconsciously think that they're better than the people around them. I can't say that for sure, but I think that it's most likely. And so I understand that. People being like pissed off at the CEOs of companies like United Healthcare and these different companies that are just shitting on people left and right. But what I also want to bring to the table, and I think that a good percentage of people have this understanding, but there's enough aggression and anger right out there right now to where I'm just going to share my little piece here on my YouTube channel for you. Killing in that way is absolutely murder, is absolutely wrong. So the only time, in my opinion, that killing is acceptable is if it's an actual legitimate, I cannot get myself or another person out of this situation without killing the other person. And very, 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 very rarely, so when self-defense is used in cases, so rarely is it actually the case that that was the only way that was legitimate self-defense. And so that means killing is almost never acceptable. I don't eat animals because I personally think that killing animals could be avoided, but that's a personal choice. If you want to go ahead and do that, that's fine. My husband eats meat sometimes. He's actually gotten really good about eating less meat. Personal choice, so don't get all mad in the comments. Relax. So what concerns me is there seems to, I mean, granted, this is on the internet, people saying things on the internet and videos and things like that, but there's people sympathizing with, now this is he's a suspect at this point as far as I'm aware. I don't think that he's been convicted yet. Maybe he has and I just haven't kept up with the news, but I can't remember the kid's name, but the one who's the suspect for the killing of Brian Thompson. There's been some sympathizers. I cannot get on board with any kind of killing like that, and here's why. He's the CEO of this company that denies a lot of claims, and yes, a lot of these corporations just treat people like dirt, and like I mentioned, within that class of people, it's normal. People are very easily shaped by the people around them. So it will just seem normal to think that they're better than the rest of society. And like I said, a lot of it, they don't even notice they're doing it. So people within that class often do just kind of look down on average people and take advantage of them when it's you know, that's probably the case with United Healthcare, that you know, I mean, I'm sure that there's been a lot of suffering with the denial of those claims. But he's the CEO of the company. There's a lot of other people involved at the higher levels of that company with that process. This guy had a family who's now grieving. And so another thing is, it's like the seed of a violent social movement when you have a situation like this and the ground is ripe. There's a lot of people, economically, things have just gone to shit. People are broke, you know. There are a lot of people in a lot worse situation than I'm in, and I'm pretty damn average financially. So it's this tinderbox situation where people are really mad at the elite class. This killing happens, and there's a percentage of people who are defending the person who killed him. And what I see, you think about, I'm no history buff, but I think about different like violent social movements, and you have to have the right conditions. You have to have enough people who are fed up with the structure, who are fed up with the system, which is what we have now, who have been oppressed and who are aware of it. The problem is anger unchecked with the combination of violence turns into something, can potentially turn into something not good. And so more than anything, I'm hoping, because there's a lot of situations that have heated up in the world right now, and according to Vedic astrology, which I do think has some validity, 2025 is going to be bumpy, and globally. And I'm really kind of hoping that things don't little pockets of violence don't continue to pop up, but I don't know. What do we do with this society? What do we do with ourselves? What do we do with the fact that most people are mad at the elite class right now? Well, we go inward. Work on disidentification from the form identity. I think that so most people are still in the state where they are disconnected and they do think that they are the form identity. And what happens is you identify with your surroundings, you identify with your body, you identify with materiality. And I know what it feels like to be broke. When my husband and I first got together, we were dirt broke, and we were for a while. And that's a really stressful state to be in. It is. But through my own personal journey, seeing that, so remember, this is all temporary. Our each individual little lives are so fleeting, and sometimes that can maybe feel kind of depressing, but also, on the other hand, it can also be freeing. Who are we beyond this temporary physical experience? Doing that digging, trying to figure that out, and the reason why people get so are willing to kill over material things or materiality is because they think that this is it. This is like, the pinnacle of our spiritual experience is this. A lot of people do believe that this is it, like this physical life, and boom, you're done. And that's okay if you think that that's the case. I respect that, but I disagree. And I do want to see a world that's where corporate executives are not taking advantage of the average people. A more fair playing field where we don't have a system that's set up to benefit the ultra wealthy, because that is absolutely how it is and how it has been. And so finding a way to all of us together create a better society in that way, but also not becoming violent. And there's this mentality that people get sometimes that the only way to make change is to get mad, get violent, and maybe in a certain time in our human history that had its place, but it no longer serves us. It no longer it had its lessons, and now it's time to move into a different way of being, where we don't see things in that way, because that's not going to produce a positive outcome if everybody just starts killing each other to try and make change, make social change. It just doesn't work that way. Personal awakening is absolutely the way to go, and I do think it's happening. Actually, I do see signs of it. NPR for a long time was really getting on my nerves because it was so biased, so one-sided. But they brought this professor on. Oh Lord, I wish I could remember his name. But he was talking about the hypocrisy that he noticed. So he's a liberal, educated college professor. If I find him, I'll put him in. I'll put it in the comments. But and he was on some show, NPR, and he was talking about the hypocrisy among woke types. He was bringing up I believe it was the George Floyd protesting, where he remembers being at one of the protests and seeing all of these people, but he said he didn't feel like there was any positive direction that they had. They were just mad about the George Floyd killing, and he said all the while he's watching these protesters step over, homeless people on the street, some of them like black men. So we have this, he was talking about how there's this actual place where you could make positive change. Ask this guy if he needs help, I don't know, a blanket, a sandwich, something like that. But they're just stepping over him with their little George Floyd signs. And so he said that got him thinking about this woke hypocrisy, which I think is really, that's a good direction. And the fact that NPR had a story like that, I mean, for the first time in, I think, ever, since I started to get annoyed with NPR, I don't know. They're two separate things but the same. A number of years ago, but that was the first time since maybe I can ever remember where I felt like there was something balanced on that news coverage, apart from like I don't know. I thought that was really cool. So to me, that felt like a positive sign as far as this awakening affecting different levels of society, like a coming together of these different ideologies. And so I think that there's a lot of hope as far as us transitioning into a peaceful society without the need. We don't need the violence. We don't need the shooting of CEOs. If this guy who's the suspect, this young man, I'm almost 39, so I feel like I can call him a young man. If he really did do this, we need to be looking at, well, how, what can we do as the older people in society to try and teach our younger people better? My CH there just sounded kind of weird. Teach. My speech impediment is coming through. What can we do for our younger people? How can we be better examples for our younger generations and help them with their frustration and help them to channel it in the right way, and not encouraging the murder of people in these higher elite positions of society, because that's completely hypocritical to want to handle it that way. Anyway, that's my take on it, my friends. Merry Christmas to you all. May God's love be in your heart. It's not up here, my friends. It's right here in the now. Have an amazing day. Bye for now.